Mr. Payne here with another handy dandy video. Today we're going to learn how to change oil. So before we get started, let's talk about mileage intervals. So originally when I started working on cars, most people would take their car in to get the oil changed every 3,000 miles. Nowadays, with the newer technology that's built into vehicles and the newer advanced oil, the mileage intervals can now be spaced out farther and farther. The vehicle that I have pulled up here right now is the 2010 Ford Escape with a 3.0 liter engine in it. This is the factory specifications for the mileage intervals for changing the oil and performing the services. What you're going to see is they're recommending every 75,000 miles as opposed to the original 3,000 miles I mentioned before. So every 7,500 miles you're supposed to do an oil change. Now, you still can, if you want to, do your oil changes every 3,000 miles. But in this case, the manufacturer says, nah, you can wait. Along with this one, the very first oil change is 7,500 miles. They want you to do a multi-point inspection, rotate the tires for wear, measure the depth, check for noises and play. And if you rotate the tires, you have to train the sensors. And if you look down at the next service, which is 15,000 miles, you're going to notice there's a whole other list of stuff to go over. So as these intervals go on, different things need to be done. So maybe you don't have access to ShopKey or a similar program. That's okay. Most vehicles come with the guide in their owner's manual. It has all the information just like you see on the screen there, except for it's in paper form. When I was a technician, I used to have to fill these books out for people, just basically fill in the bubble with what you did. And it's actually a really good tool for selling extra services to people that they actually need. It's also worth mentioning that some vehicles have an indicator that comes on the dashboard to let you know when your oil needs changed. When those lights light up, the customer schedules an appointment to have the oil changed. Or if the customer changes it themselves, they can change the oil and then reset the light themselves. Some of the more sophisticated vehicles have a sensing system built into them. It uses information like engine load, speed, and generally how the vehicle is driven to possibly make the light come on sooner. For those of us lucky enough to have ShopKey, we have a maintenance tab that we can access, which tells us all our maintenance interval information the whole way across. Say if we're working on a 75,000 mile car, you can pull up that tab, and anything that's highlighted in blue, you can select that and it will take you to that process. Also, you come over here to the side and select the little icon of the oil dumping into the engine compartment. It will tell you all your fluid capacities, how much it takes, what type it is. So we're working on a 2010 Ford Escape with a 3.0 liter engine, changing the oil with a filter. It says right there that it takes 6 quarts of oil, 5W20 premium blend synthetic motor oil. If you don't have ShopKey available to you to look up how much oil your vehicle takes, a lot of times the parts stores will tell you. Specifications can also be found in the owner's manual. As you can see, there's many types of oil filters. There's the solid type, there's the cartridge type. They all come in different sizes. They all come for different price ranges. Rule of thumb is, you get what you pay for. So if you buy a cheap filter, it's not going to do such a good job as it would be if you buy, like, say, a good K&N filter. These things range anywhere between $2 and $25 depending on what you buy. Always be sure to select the right weight and type of oil for your vehicle. Recording. Alright, so today we're going to learn how to change oil. So the first thing you need to do if you've never changed oil before is locate your hood release. In this particular vehicle, it is down here near the floor, which I already pulled. There's a primary and a secondary release. Primary release is when you pull the cord. Go ahead and open it. Secondary release, most of the time you have to open it from the front. Every vehicle is a little different in that The release could be in the center or it could be off to the side. There he goes. In this case, it's right there. And always take care when you're opening a hood. Some vehicles have built-in prop rods that hold it open, and some vehicles have things like that. Alright, so now that we got the hood open, we have to ask ourselves one question. Where does the oil go? So how can we tell where the oil goes? There's all kinds of caps under here. There's all kinds of dipsticks. As you're looking around, one thing I can tell you is they put universal symbols on everything on most cars. So look for one that looks like an oil can or it says engine oil.
Right there.
Let me pop myself over here, take a little look. And there you go. It looks like an oil can. It actually has the weight of the oil on it, 5W20. So the first thing I ever do when I start doing an oil change, I take that cap off and I lay it up here somewhere where I can see it. The reason why I do that is because it's going to remind me that there's no oil in the vehicle. Because I don't put that cap back on until the oil's all in. Alright? Now that that cap's off, we're ready to go ahead and just lower the hood down. Don't close it the whole way. We're going to put the vehicle up in the air. The next thing you need to do is look underneath the vehicle and see if you can locate the drain plug. There's that guy right there. And the oil filter. There's this guy up here. If you notice, there's a drain plug there, but there could be drain plugs elsewhere on the vehicle. Always make sure you pull the right drain plug. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to locate and remove that oil drain plug. Always have yourself a rag handy. Sometimes they can be stubborn. Sometimes you need bigger tools. Alright, with the magic of cinema, we magically turned the wrench into a long-handled ratchet, which made easy work of it. Oil drain plug shouldn't be incredibly tight because there's no pressure behind the oil in the oil pan. Finger tight and then snug is all you're supposed to do. So right now you gotta watch for splashback. Make sure it doesn't splash on you. So be very cautious how it comes out. Make sure you catch it in the pan. Once this oil is completely drained, or if we can position a drain pan under the oil filter to where you can drain it while you're taking the filter off, we're going to change the filter. This is the filter for the vehicle. They all come in different sizes, like I said before. You always double check your part numbers, make sure you have the right filter. If you use the wrong filter, even though it's the right size as far as the physical size of it, sometimes the filters are built differently inside and you can cause yourself problems. For example, some vehicles have an anti-drain back filter that if you put the wrong filter on it, the car won't start when you're done. So while we're waiting for our oil to drain, let's talk about filter wrenches for a minute. These guys here have been around for a while. This is your typical band type wrench. You basically put it on the filter and just turn it backwards. It grabs a hold of it and turns it. We have these guys here. They're cap type wrenches that will just fit the tops of these caps. These would have to come in different sizes, so you can physically have like about a dozen of these in your box. You have to figure out which size you need. This is one of my favorites. You put a ratchet on it and it grabs the filter as you turn it left. It kind of just turns it off. And then these ones here are the claw type. They're like a big pair of pliers. If I was going to be like you and go out and buy my tools for the first time, these are the ones you want to buy first. These ones here are nice because they're adjustable. They fit just about any size filter, big or small. And you get a really nice bite on it with these. Some vehicles have paper filters, paper cartridge type filters, and you're required to buy special sockets for that. This one here is the one I use mainly for GM products. I've used this one for my Mini Cooper. So this is another good investment for you as far as filters go, or filter wrenches go. Okay, now our volunteer is going to go ahead and remove the filter. Another tip I got for you guys is steady pressure works best with filters. If you put a wrench on it and you just try to yank at it, that rubber seal is going to fight you. But if you use steady, even pressure, usually it'll release. And once you get it so far loose with the wrench, then you can reach up with your hand and spin it off. Just be cautious you don't get a back because there is a lot of oil comes out. Now once he gets that off of there, there's one thing you should really check. There's a rubber O-ring that lives on the end of the filter. Make sure that O-ring is on the end of your filter. If that O-ring's not on the filter, guess where it is?
In there.
It's up on top of the engine, and it's very possible, I've done it myself, to double gasket an oil filter. If that happens, it may not leak right this second, it may not leak for the next day, but sooner or later that extra gasket's going to blow off of there, you're going to lose all your oil onto the ground. That can go in the garbage. Now before you put the new filter on, take a little bit of the used oil, put it on your finger, and put a light coating of oil on it. Or you can use the new oil, one way or the other. It doesn't hurt to use used. And then what he's going to do is he's going to spin it on there by hand once he finds the threads. And then you don't want to over tighten an oil filter, so you're going to go on there till it's snug, and then it's by hand, tighten up as tight as you can by hand. Never ever use an oil filter wrench to tighten an oil filter. Enough evers in there. Never ever. Couple for good luck. If you do that, a lot of things can happen, such as tearing holes in the sides of the filter. Another thing that can happen is once you tighten that filter on there, that rubber O-ring will expand. So if you made it super tight with a filter wrench, it's going to be extremely tight once that expansion happens. Now we got the filter in place and he's had it nice and snug. And I see he took the time to wipe it off when he was finished, which was nice. Now he's going to put the drain plug back in. Always note that make sure you have the gasket on the end of the plug, which it's on there. Those gaskets are serviceable, which means if your gasket is bad, you can order just the gasket, but honestly a drain plug only costs like a few dollars. So it doesn't really hurt to buy a new plug once in a while. Now all he's going to do, instead of cranking it on there, all he's going to do is just give it just a little snug. Should be good, just a snug. And it's always a good thing to wipe up any excess oil that happened to get dripped anywhere. Customers don't like it when they pull their car into their garage at home and there's an oil spot on the ground after they just got done getting the oil changed. Alright, so just before we start putting oil in here, let's talk real quick about oil. There's a synthetic version, and then there's just a regular high quality synthetic blend. If you remember from the earlier video, or earlier in the video, we looked it up and it calls for synthetic blend. It doesn't hurt to put the full synthetic in something that calls for a synthetic blend because you're actually upgrading by going with a synthetic. The advantage of going with a synthetic is that it lasts longer, it takes more heat, and it doesn't evaporate as bad as the regular oil. Now, as you remember, we looked it up and it takes 6.2 quarts, so we're going to use all 6 of these quarts of oil. So my assistant's going to grab a clean funnel, put it inside the hole, and start dumping the oil in 1 quart at a time. You always want to dump slowly because sometimes the oil will splash back out the funnel. And by the way, using a funnel is a must. Don't try to shortcut it by just dumping the oil on top of the engine, because 98% of the time you do miss the hole. And if it's your own car, that's fine. You can smell the oil burning. The customers get really mad if they smell oil burning. They think you messed up, so they end up bringing it back to you. And if you're only getting paid, like say $10 for an oil change, you're cleaning all that oil off and double checking everything for free if they bring it back. And using the power of time-lapse photography, we're going to fast forward until we have all 6 quarts of oil in the car. Alright, all 6 quarts of oil are in the vehicle. Now he's ready to put the cap back on. Make sure it goes click. Some of them click, some of them don't. Just make sure it's on there firmly and snugly. If you forget to put the oil cap on, believe it or not, if you forget to put the oil cap on, believe it or not, it'll make a big mess. So now that the oil cap's back on, we gotta do one thing before we can do anything else. We're gonna start the vehicle, let it idle for like 10 to 20 seconds. We're gonna make sure that there's no drips coming out the bottom, and then we're gonna shut it off. It doesn't need to be more than like say 10 seconds. We're gonna look for leakage. I see nothing running under there. What we're doing is we're filling up that oil filter and we're giving the vehicle a chance to prime. Alright, now we're ready to check the oil. So the oil dipstick, I believe, is somewhere towards the front over here. There's an arrow for it. They kind of have it hidden. See, it's hiding down there. Go ahead and wipe it off. And then re-dip it all the way down until it seats. And when you pull it up, it should be somewhere in that cross-hatched area of the dipstick. So we're going to look at the dipstick, see the two dots. It's supposed to be somewhere in between the two dots. And flip it over once. Might have to do a double dip on it because it looks like it's somewhere like right about there. A little bit of residue up the side sometimes throws you off a little bit. But if it's low at all, it's only probably 0.2 quarts because remember we looked it up. I looked it up earlier, and it says it takes 6.2 quarts. So I may have to put just a little bit more oil in it. All right, so it's pretty much towards the middle, and since oil expands as it gets hotter, we're going to say it's got the right amount of oil. We should be good. Oil change minders, if you're not lucky enough to have a car that tells you when your oil needs changed, this used to be the old school way of doing about it. It has a spot for the date and a spot for the mileage. Standard used to be 3 months or 3,000 miles. So whatever the odometer says in a vehicle, you would add 3,000 miles to that, and that is what you would write on the sticker. Or you would look at the calendar, see what today's date is, figure out what 3 months from now is, and put that date on there too. And that tells the driver, hey, I need an oil change. Most modern vehicles now have that thing that comes on the dashboard, and as I went over earlier in this video, a lot of the intervals have changed to 7,500 miles. In case of my Fusion, it actually asks for 10,000 mile intervals. So it's only going to get like literally 10 oil changes. This vehicle requires a manual reset of the oil change required system. So to do that in this vehicle, there's a set of buttons down here that you have to run through and find the right menu and hit oil change reset. Reset for system check. Oil change required. Oil life, 0%. Hold reset if new. Set to 100%. All vehicles are different. Some vehicles require you to turn the key forward, step on the brake pedal a certain amount of times, or the accelerator pedal. All vehicles are different. You're going to have to look that up.